Hi everyone, my name is Vanessa van Dijk, and in today's video I want to talk about what really happens if you stop using a cleanser. Because this is one of those topics where skincare advice online often sounds very convincing, but it's not based on how the skin actually works. It's mostly based on marketing and on selling you the idea that your skin needs constant help, so that you keep buying products you don't actually need. And when you look at actual research, there isn't much evidence showing that cleansers improve skin health in people with normal skin. What studies do show over and over again is that cleansing, even with regular use, can disrupt the skin's natural barrier, increase water loss, and make the skin more sensitive. So this idea that everyone needs a daily cleanser did not originally come from medical science. It started as a marketing message. But over time it became so common that even many dermatologists began repeating it as fact. And I think that it's not that they're wrong intentionally, but this idea has been accepted for so long that very few people ever stop to question where it came from. That's why you constantly hear that cleansing is one of the most important steps in any skincare routine, and that if you skip it, your skin will get dirty, your pores will clog, or your barrier will start to break down. But that's not what actually happens. Your skin doesn't suddenly stop functioning just because you stopped using a cleanser. It keeps producing oils, shedding old skin cells, and maintaining its natural balance, all on its own. And in fact, for almost everyone, the skin stays perfectly healthy as long as you let it. And I say almost everyone because the only real exceptions are people with certain rare skin conditions, like severe eczema or other issues, that make it harder for the skin to protect itself. In those cases, the skin's natural function is weakened, so proper medical care and specific treatments are really important. But for everyone else, cleansing is not necessary for healthy or healthy-looking skin. And I assume most of you watching don't have these conditions, so everything I'll explain to you in this video applies to you. Okay, so let's look at what actually happens when you stop using a cleanser. Now when you stop, the protective film on the surface of your skin begins to rebuild within a few hours. Your skin is constantly producing oils and lipids, which are the natural fats that keep the surface soft and flexible. And they work like a built-in moisturizer, because together they form that thin layer that protects the skin from the outside world. So that surface layer restores itself very quickly once you stop washing it away. However, what takes longer is the deeper repair underneath. If your barrier has been weakened from years of cleansing, using the wrong products, or from irritation, the deeper layers of the skin need more time to fully recover. And that healing process can take several weeks. But it doesn't stop the surface film from returning almost immediately. The skin begins protecting itself again right away, and that is what allows it to start healing from within. I've been through that process myself, and what you'll notice during this time is that your skin feels a bit different. It can seem slightly oilier, rougher, or just not like what you're used to, and that's mostly because the clean feeling created by cleansers is actually a form of mild stripping. But once that sensation goes away, the skin simply feels more like skin again. Your skin produces sebum, which is a mix of oils, waxes, and fatty acids that form a thin protective layer on the surface. And that layer keeps moisture in and prevents harmful substances from getting in. It's also slightly acidic, which helps control the growth of bacteria and fungi on the skin. So when you stop removing that layer every day, your skin can finally do what it's designed to do. It regulates itself, keeps it balanced, and stays healthy without any form of help from a cleanser. Now, I'm not saying that cleansers never make sense. There are situations where using one can actually be helpful. For example, if you live in a polluted or densely populated area, like in parts of Asia, the Middle East, or other regions where there's heavy traffic, visible smoke, or high levels of fine dust, you might start to feel a thin layer of that residue on your skin after a few minutes or hours outside. Now, from my own experience staying in Bangkok, I can say that you can't really do much about that during the day, because if you're at work or school or simply out in that environment, it will ultimately build up on your skin. So the most practical time to remove it is in the evening, or as I used to do it, immediately when you get back home. That's when gently rinsing it off with a mild cleanser can make sense, because pollution particles can mix with your skin's natural oils and feel uncomfortable if they stay on the surface for too long. Now, from what I looked up, there currently isn't any strong scientific evidence showing that the cleansing in those environments directly prevents skin damage. But from a logical point of view, it does make sense to remove it. Now, the thing is that in these polluted cities, we are dealing with man-made pollutants that can settle on the skin's surface and interact with your natural oils, causing oxidation and irritation over time. So removing that surface layer at the end of the day can be helpful, but only if it's done gently. And this is where it can also get really confusing. Many, including myself when I first started this channel, assumed that the more pollution there is, the more you should cleanse. But when you look at this logically and understand how the skin barrier actually works, doing so can actually make things worse. If you cleanse too often or use the wrong types of products like harsh or stripping ones, you remove the very oils and lipids that protect your skin from those pollutants. That weakens the barrier and can make the skin more reactive and more likely to get irritated. So what makes sense is to gently remove that buildup in the evening with a well-formulated oil or balm cleanser. And I say specifically oil or balm cleanser because other types of cleansers tend to interact or remove parts of the skin's protective layer by penetrating too deeply. It's not that an oil or balm cleanser removes nothing at all, but the effect on the barrier lipids is minimal, while it still effectively removes sunscreen and makeup. So the goal here is to simply lift off that surface pollution along with any sunscreen or makeup, not to strip away the entire film that keeps the skin balanced and resilient. Then in the morning, you can simply leave your skin as it is from the night before, because overnight it rebuilds the oils it needs for protection, so nothing else is needed and you're good to go for the day. That natural barrier is still the most effective protection we have against pollution. And actually, the most effective way is to apply a sunscreen directly on top of that natural film you already have from the night before. But this only works if you haven't used any other products beforehand. Because if you applied something heavier, like a rich night cream or thick balm before bed, then it makes sense to gently cleanse it off first before you're putting on your sunscreen or any other products you use during the day. So the goal here is to keep the barrier healthy by naturally leaving its own fats, or by supporting it after cleansing with a moisturizer that replaces somewhat what was removed. This way your skin can keep doing what it's designed to do: protect, repair, and stay balanced on its own, even in polluted environments where the skin is under more stress. Now this was mainly for people living in heavily polluted cities, but what if you live in a city in the West where the air is relatively clean and pollution levels are low most of the time? Then cleansing with a cleanser for that reason alone is usually not necessary. Nowadays, it's really more about personal comfort or the social idea of if you don't cleanse, you must be dirty. But the funny thing is that when you actually stop using a cleanser, nobody will notice anything. In fact, most people will just say that your skin looks healthy. So what I mean is that in those environments, cleansing is purely for cosmetic benefits, not for hygiene or health, unless you tell someone. I'm not saying that you shouldn't wash your face at all, but water alone is perfectly fine for daily cleansing. And if you do want to cleanse because you wear waterproof makeup or mineral-based sunscreen or something that's generally difficult to remove, then using a balm or oil cleanser is also the best way to take it off without any irritation. For everything else, lukewarm water is more than enough. And if you feel like you need a little extra help, you can use a soft makeup remover washcloth to gently remove it. I've been doing that for over 1.5 years now and it just works fine. So to put it simply, your skin already knows how to take care of itself. It cleans, renews, and protects naturally. And all what it needs from you is to not get in its way. Cleansing can make sense in certain situations, but for most people, water and time are all the skin needs to stay balanced. So listen to your skin, keep things simple, and don't let marketing convince you that more is always better. And I hope that this helped you understand your skin a little bit better. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Happy skin caring!